Len, thanks for doing this kind of spur of the moment. But there are a lot of questions I think the community still has about the pastor's situation. But summarize, if you could, what's taken place in the last, 3 days. How did you all uh, get the pastor out in the first place, and what's in front of him in terms of the
So,
process?
Dave, once again, thank you for having me. So we found out last Tuesday, I should say. So that would be the 12th of August that he had been granted bond by an immigration judge in Louisiana. And so that was when we first knew that he was going to be released into the care of his family. And we didn't want to say anything as a general strategy because, quite honestly, the environment in which we're living is very unpredictable. And as we've all seen, things can happen at the drop of a hat. And this is not an administration that is inclined to play by legal or constitutional norms. So while we knew on Tuesday he was going to be released, we decided to kind of keep the news private until he was on a plane back in Maryland and literally back in his home with his family. And that's why you saw the announcement on Friday evening at around 9 o'clock, I think. His daughter flew to Louisiana on Thursday, was reunited with her father at the detention center in Alexandria, Louisiana, and they left on Friday afternoon. Just a couple of details about that. It's sad and it's infuriating that while the government, for no obvious reason, put Pastor Fuentes Espinal on a plane to take him down to Louisiana, separating him from his family by a time zone and several hours uh, flight or drive. The flight back from Louisiana to Maryland was entirely on the family's dime. So they will fly you down, but they won't fly you back. And so when we talk about the GoFundMe page and the fact that so many people have stepped forward, not only with thoughts and prayers, but with financial support for the family, this is just a small example of the expenses that are incurred when somebody is forced to go through this ordeal for absolutely no reason, and in spite of the fact that he's not committed a crime here in 24 years.
What's ahead for him?
It's important to note that he does not have, at this point, a deportation order. So that is my understanding. And Dave, I want to just emphasize my understanding because I'm not an immigration judge. I'm not an immigration lawyer, and I've been kind of learning this whole Byzantine process on the fly like everybody else. But it is my impression or my sense he does not stand an immediate threat of being deported. Rather, what follows now is the rather arduous task of going through the federal bureaucracy to make permanent his residency status in the United States. And
Mm.
I've seen some Facebook, the community has been overwhelmingly supportive, but I have seen a few Facebook and other social media posts saying, well, he just needs to get his card. He just needs to get his citizenship. He needs to apply for asylum or something, as if it's just as simple as going
Yeah.
online and pushing a button and entering a credit card number. It is a broken immigration system. And the reason we are in this ordeal to begin with is that, as we've discussed, the pastor has been trying for years to successfully resolve his open residency status in the United States, and has time and time again been stymied by an intractable bureaucracy and just sheer unresponsiveness. And I won't go into the process too much because, frankly, I'm not that familiar with the machinery.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
suffice to say, he's been going through this for years, and let me assure you, he is not the only one. This case has really raised attention, or raised focus attention on so many elements of this process, not the least of which is just the sheer time and money and frustration that is
Yeah.
invested by people trying to, do the right thing and be a legal
Yeah.
resident of the United States.
The other thing that I want to understand a little bit more is how unique the pastor's experience has been. There were a lot of people in this community that rallied together under your leadership and others to get him out. Um, that's not the case for most people, is it?
The pastor's situation was extraordinary, and I will say as an aside, even his immigration judge, before whom he appeared last Tuesday, said this is an exceptional case, and essentially said Pastor Fuentes Espinal is an exceptional man. And he was familiar with the case. He had read letters from people across the country who wanted him released. But this is a unique case, and there are, for every Pastor Fuentes Espinal, there are countless. I mean, literally countless, because we just don't know, and we can't trust the administration's data on this point. Countless numbers of immigrants in this country who are in his situation. They may not have, the status of a pastor, but these are law-abiding people who have raised families here, who have jobs here, are paying taxes here, and putting money back into the economy and giving back to their community, who have been snatched off the street, separated from their families, and are now in this vortex of darkness, and they don't know why they're being moved, where they're being moved. And it must be terrifying to be in the midst of a situation that is completely and absolutely out of their hands.
The other thing that we got a couple of comments after the original story broke that he had been returned to Easton. Who does the community want to thank? Who have been so effective in trying to fight this battle?
Sure.
I know.
Well, I think if you're establishing kind of the triangle from the top, I think you have to start with our congressional delegation, um, Senators Van Hollen and also Brooks. Both of them have been just absolutely exceptional. I'll give top billing to Senator Van Hollen simply because he's been in office so much longer than Senator also Brooks has been, and he really does have, in my opinion, having dealt with so many members of Congress in both chambers, he has the single best staff in America. It is
Yeah.
unbelievable how experienced and competent and unconditionally responsive his team is, right from his Eastern Shore rep, Alyssa Hastings, right on up to the state director and the chief of staff. So the technical assistance, the information they've provided has been absolutely remarkable. I will also say that Representatives Sarah Elfreth, who represents Maryland's 3rd Congressional District, lives in Annapolis. She's been remarkable, as has 4th District Congressman Glenn Ivey, who is based in Prince George's County and represents that county in the House. What's remarkable there is that neither of these two people even represent Pastor Fuentes Espinal. They're nowhere close to the 1st Congressional District. They did it without any expectation or hope of political benefit. They did it because it's the right thing to do. And not only did these 4 people, Van Hollen, also Brooks, Elfreth, Ivy, take an interest in the pastor's case, but they have been working very hard to expose the deplorable and inhuman conditions that exist at the ICE holding facility in Baltimore City, where Pastor Fuentes Espinal was held for 3 nights, a total of just under 90 hours, which is far in excess of ICE guidelines. I've said it before, I'll do so again on your program. He didn't have a shower at his disposal, didn't have a sink, he didn't have a bed, he didn't have a toilet. And this is the way we are treating men and women, parents, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters. This is the way we're treating other human beings right here in the United States and right here in the state of Maryland. And
Yeah.
I am so glad that they are using the power of their platform to call attention to this. I think, listen, Dave, I think the people who rallied on both sides of the Bay Bridge, the folks who were organized by the Talbot Democratic Forum, they helped focus attention on this case, as did my friend Jennifer Blaylock and the folks from Indivisible Baltimore County, who generated a huge rally a couple of weeks ago down at McKeldin Square in downtown Baltimore at rush hour. Everything that we did working together helped create the environment to keep the attention focus on the pastor and to keep people, actively advocating for his release.
Well, Len, thank you for telling this story. It is to be continued, but we appreciate your insights.